Hello, I'm Tom from the Bartitsu Lab. In this particular session, we're going to be looking at the Japanese concept of Maai or Maai, and that is essentially the notion of using appropriate distance for the type of attack or defense that you want to do. In this, I'm going to show you some of the different types of Maai we use in Bartitsu, and I'm going to use one weapon just across to make it nice and simple for you. So, finding the right range for the situation, for what your best skill set is. So if you're a better boxer, your ideal Maai is going to be in that boxing range. If you're a better saboteur, your ideal Maai is going to be in the longer range where you can fouette to the groin. If you're a grappler, your ideal Maai is going to be in that clinch range. So again, getting to and knowing the different types of Maai is really important. Knowing how to get to your preferred one is even more important. But finally, understanding how to flow between them is a natural piece of combat training. You need to understand how to flow from long range to short range to mid range, and that's why Bartitsu, that's why I love it, because it combines different ranges, all the way from a long range cane through to ground grappling. We need to be able to be at least decent, comfortable in those ranges for us to be holistic martial artists. So I'm going to show you some of the different types of Maai we have for stand-up striking. Now the first is going to be on the lunge. Okay, so this is the longest possible range. Okay, I'll show this with a jab actually, because this is harder for a cross with the lunge, but essentially this is where we are completely out of range, striking range with our hands, and I have to do a lunging drop step to land that strike in. So it's my fullest and longest extension of my body. This is my longest hand striking range. So I bend my front knee into a lunge, I reach out fully with my arm, vertical fist because we're doing Bartitsu, boom! So my longest Maai, my longest piece of fighting distance with my hand is my lead-off lunge. Okay, so we need to get comfortable with, can we fire out, typically preemptively, our longest shot first? And can we do that with power? You need to get comfortable with that range, because often that range is the surprise range. A fight's just happened, shit, I need to respond with powerful force before you get into an uncomfortable range, especially if there are numbers. Okay, then we're looking at our more standard range. This is where we don't need to step, so we've got to step and lunge here. This is very long Maai. Here it's about the twist, so my cross is about twisting my hip and my shoulder. Okay, so again, this is my kind of mid-range Maai. I need to get comfortable with this because this is where vast majority of striking happens. Now I say vast majority of striking, vast majority of sportive striking. So if you're having a pugilism match, if you're having a boxing match, if you're having a regulated fight, or indeed a fight which would be deemed a fair go, two humans settling a dispute via an armed combat, a lot of it happens in the range of that particular cross counters. That's the mid-level Maai, and we need to get comfortable in fighting in that range. We move a bit closer now. Now we've started to get into a dirty boxing grapple. We can still strike, but the room is more suffocating. So I use the frame here. So in this one, I've stopped the opponent closing by using this frame, and then I'm going to fire the cross. So it's a shorter range Maai, okay? Short range Maai. So long range Maai, mid range Maai, short range Maai with that framing device here. So here we've come to a grapple. I've pushed him off just a little bit to strike in here. Okay, so that's a useful Maai to get used to, because if you are a grappler, you might need to get to this stage before I grab, because he's not just going to let me grab me, he's going to strike. So if you're a grappler, you need to get used to still striking in that range. And if you hate grappling, if you're weak at grappling, you need to know how to stop that grappler with sprawls, with frames, and make sure you cause enough pain and injury for you to change your range or to finish the fight via strikes. So again, that framed short range Maai, really, really important. And then finally, zero range Maai. And this is the least looked at, but I think we're most interesting. And this is where technically there is now no room to strike. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my shoulder. I'm going to shoulder bump to create the range to strike. So here we're too close. Launch that shoulder in and keep it high to defend my jaw. Boom, like so. and then I'm going to turn and fire that Maai. Now again, the technique could be different. Here, slap, here, over, here, you know, whatever I want to do. But as soon as we're sticking with the cross in the main for this, we're very close. I'm going to use that no range Maai and make sure that's explosive, and then explosively turn the other way, fire that cross. So those are some ranges to get used to and understand how to flow between them and which of your pugilistic techniques best suit that particular range. Long range Maai, a lunging lead off. Mid range Maai, a cross or a cross counter. Short range Maai, using some type of grappling frame with your cross, and no range Maai, using things like digging your knees into the opponent's knees, or using your shoulder or using your head to manipulate that shot. So it's just a point that if I can use the shoulder to make the range, so too can I use the head. I can turn the head like so. Whatever you can use for your body that's already in contact to manipulate a tiny bit of space for you to fill with a strike. Understanding Maai, understanding distance, and knowing what tool is most appropriate to what distance is really key for you to take yourself from a basic striking knowledge to a more mid-level or advanced striking knowledge. What weapon suits what range suits me, what range suits the scenario. These are all things you need to meld together, and something we do at the Bartitsu Lab.